I am pleased to provide the Mayor's report for the period of November 27th through December the 10th. And I'll start, as I had indicated in the last meeting, that a number of members of council, including Deputy Mayor Hogan, Councillor Robinson, City Manager Sepatelli, and myself, were attending the annual Association of Manitoba Municipalities conference in Winnipeg from the 26th to the 29th. I felt that it was a reasonable conference in terms of the opportunity to network with some of the other municipalities. We did have specific opportunities to meet with Minister Lemieux regarding boundary expansion and a number of other items that Mr. Sepatelli highlighted earlier, as well as Minister Kerry Irvin Ross, Minister of Housing, regarding affordable housing and housing development in our community. In addition to that, we attended a breakfast with the number of northern mayors to have a brief discussion, as well as concluding that there is a need for northern mayors to continue to meet on an ongoing basis. I want to thank members of council for representing the City of Thompson very well, and I will note that I think AMM has its opportunities in terms of the networking, but I really believe that we have to take a look at the amount of representation that we send to that conference. I certainly know that I will not likely be attending the every second year in Brandon. It's far more difficult. And I would propose that the City of Thompson has to take the leadership role of relating and meeting directly with ministers at the legislative building. I equate the meetings that Councillor Collada and I had 2 weeks, or a week, I guess, before AMM and the success versus the 20 or 30 minutes you get at AMM. So I think that from my point of view, we as a city have to continue to ask for that opportunity to meet specifically with ministers, and I hope next year we can take a hard look at how many participants we send to AMM. December the 1st, I had an invitation and attended the Thompson Regional Airport Authority annual dinner, and I appreciate the efforts of the board and the President, Curtis Ross. I thank them for the invitation. It was a great opportunity for Tammy and I to attend and hear some of the really good things that are happening at the Airport Authority, both in the past as well as some of the goals and objectives they have for the future. So I appreciate that opportunity. On December the 5th, Council hosted the quarterly meeting with respect to the Aboriginal Accord, and again, I was very pleased with the turnout and extremely pleased with some of the initiatives that organizations in this community are moving forward with in terms of the objectives stated in the Accord. We were able to distribute a number of copies of the Aboriginal Accord, and those organizations will be displaying those. I was extremely happy to hear a number of organizations that will be displaying them in multiple areas of their organization, so very positive. On December 6th and 7th, I can say that I participated at the invitation of the working group relating through to the Valet announcement of 2010. Working group of Valet United Steelworkers in the province. We met, and I'm very pleased that there continues to be positive discussion and a willingness to work cooperatively in terms of addressing some of the challenges that we have faced ever since the announcement in 2010 and the further announcement recently. On December the 8th, I was able to and happy to participate at the United Steelworkers 50th anniversary event that was held, and I commend Murray Nichipork and all the members of the United Steelworkers on hosting that event. It was a fun opportunity, and it was a way of celebrating the past 50 years, and I wish the United Steelworkers all the best in moving forward over the next 50 years. A couple updates just for people, and I'm going to be very brief because I haven't been in the community for most of the last 2 weeks, but I want to bring to the attention of council, and I'll provide copies. We've received a letter from, I believe, every student in Riverside School indicating a desire to see the construction of a bus shelter in the Riverside area, and I was really I was very impressed with the letters because there's a number of students that are now using our transit system to travel to Riverside School from around the community. And it was the students themselves that came forward and suggested that council needs to do something to look at the best interests of their fellow students. And I think that that's it's a positive thing to see when you see students in an elementary school understanding the democratic process and getting involved in that. So I commend the leadership at Riverside School, and mostly I commend the students. And it was pretty neat. And I actually looked through all the letters and saw that my niece misspelled my name, but it was great to see. And I think City Manager Sepatelli and I are going to be attending an assembly in the near future to thank the students, and I hopefully to pass along some good news in terms of how we can meet their request. This is the last meeting of council for 2012. I know it's early in December, but it is based on our 2-week rotation. We're going to be meeting again, I believe, January the 7th. Is that correct, Mr. Sepatelli? So I want to end off just in terms of passing along to all residents of Thompson, my colleagues on council, our administration, those who attend the meetings, all the best over the festive season. Merry Christmas, or whatever, and in whatever way you celebrate the season. But I encourage people to take the time, reflect on those things that really are important, and that is family and the opportunity to mix with friends and enjoy it. I encourage people, please think safety first, whether that's you're traveling into the community or out of the community, and certainly around the home. We want to make sure that everyone enjoys the season. And so from me to the community on behalf of council, all the best over the festive season, and Happy New Year. So that's my report. I'm not sure if anyone else from council has anything to ask him or add based on my absence. I'm going to go first to Deputy Mayor Hogan and then Councillor Clatta.
Thank you, Mayor Johnston. Going back a little bit, on November 21st to 23rd, I participated in the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, board meeting in Ottawa, where we held our annual advocacy days, where the entire board and staff, numbering about 75 to 100 people, go to Parliament Hill en masse and lobby parliamentarians on behalf of municipalities across Canada. And we met with a record number, 153 parliamentarians, which was a 35% increase over last year's advocacy days. So that's showing that parliamentarians on the Hill are listening to us and listening to our needs and what we have, our proposals that we are bringing forward, particularly in terms of the long-term infrastructure plan, which was noted in the federal government's throne speech. And so FCM has been lobbying to include a renewal and protection of the gas tax fund, core infrastructure fund, and renewing the Build Canada fund in the upcoming long-term infrastructure plan. So I would encourage us to keep an eye out for that in the 2013 budget. We're advocating for long-term, predictable, and fast funding. And I can't stress enough how important it is for the City of Thompson to be at this table and to be participating in these conversations, especially in terms of when we're talking about predictable and flexible funding. Our construction parameters are very different than our southern counterparts, and so just being able to draw on those local examples of shorter construction season, for example, when we're making our case for flexible funding is very important. I would like to thank Mayor Johnston for taking vacation so early in my term as Deputy Mayor, because I was able to participate on behalf of Council in our second annual Christmas parade and hand out candy in minus 25-degree weather. But I also got to attend the National Child Day at City Hall and participate in the tree lighting ceremony. And I would like to extend my thanks to staff for their dedication in managing and participating in these events and making sure that when we did the countdown to 1, the tree lit. So thank you very much. As noted by Mayor Johnston, I did participate in the Association of Manitoba Municipalities annual convention in Winnipeg, November 26th. That week. But I would also like to note that I was able to finance my travel and accommodation through various means, so that I attended at no expense to the City of Thompson. But also, while I was at AMM on the 27th, the wrap-up last day of the conference, I participated on a panel of AMM called Ballot Box Barriers. It was a women in government panel held at the University of Manitoba to encourage women to be involved and interested and understand more of the political process involved in municipal government. And so I spoke of our initiatives at FCM, including the Protégé program, which I'm glad to see our very own Protégé is here in attendance tonight. So that is that's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Clada?
Thank you. I attended 2 events. Councillor Locker usually attends all the health events, but I attended the grand opening of the adult daycare program. And as someone who helped look after my mother, I can tell you that this service is a lifesaver. There's many parents in Thompson looking after handicapped children, their spouses looking after their partners who have had strokes and so on, and I think it's a wonderful program, and I'm so glad to see it in Thompson. I wish it had been here much earlier. I also, on November the 28th, attended the community consultation put on by the Regional Health Authority. They broke into groups, and that was geared to have community input and share information. It was very informative. Unfortunately, they had a low turnout, but it was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Robinson?
Mayor Johnston also attended the AMM with yourself and City Manager Sepitelli and Deputy Mayor Hogan. It was very fruitful. There were some very powerful speakers there. Got to attend the trade show and collected some valuable information for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank members of council that filled in for me while I was away, and I also want to thank those who represented us at a very busy November in terms of conferences. I can say that we represented this community well, and I appreciate the efforts. With that, I would entertain a